I'm giving you 24 hours to think about it. Trevor's voice was calm, almost kind, like he was offering me a gift instead of tearing apart our 7-year marriage. He sat across from me at our dining table, the same table where we'd eaten countless dinners, celebrated anniversaries, and planned a future that clearly meant nothing to him. 24 hours to accept what, exactly? My voice came out steadier than I felt. My hands were folded in my lap, squeezing each other so hard my knuckles ached. To accept that Gabrielle is part of my life now. He said her name easily, without shame. I'm not leaving you, Simone. I'm just being honest about my needs. You can choose to understand or you can choose to make this difficult. The ceiling fan spun above us, the same lazy rotation it had made every day for 5 years in this house. Everything looked normal. The cream-colored walls. The photos of us on vacation in Jamaica. The bowl of fruit on the counter that I'd arranged just this morning. But nothing was normal anymore. Make this difficult, I repeated, tasting the words. You're having an affair, and I'm the one who would be making things difficult? Trevor sighed like I was a child who couldn't understand basic math. It's not an affair if I'm being transparent. I'm telling you the truth. Gabrielle and I have something special, but I still care about you. We can make this work if you're willing to be mature about it. Mature. That word hit me like a slap. Let me tell you how I got here, sitting across from a stranger who looked like my husband but talked like someone I'd never met. 3 days ago, I was in the kitchen making Trevor's favorite dinner, honey garlic chicken with roasted vegetables. My phone was dead, so I grabbed his from the counter to check a recipe. That's when the message came through. Can't wait to see you tonight, baby. Room 412, same hotel. The message was from Gabrielle. Not a name I'd heard before. Not one of Trevor's co-workers I'd met at company parties. My hands started shaking as I opened the message thread, and my whole world fell apart in the time it took to scroll through 3 months of messages. You make me feel alive. My husband doesn't understand me like you do. Last night was incredible. When can we do it again? Her husband. She was married too. They were both destroying 2 marriages, and they talked about it like it was a romantic movie instead of a betrayal. I'd stood there in the kitchen with the phone in my hand, the chicken burning in the oven because I forgot to set the timer. The smoke alarm didn't go off, but my life was already on fire. When Trevor came home that night, I confronted him. I expected denial, maybe panic, definitely apologies. Instead, he'd looked almost relieved. I'm glad you know, he'd said, loosening his tie. I was getting tired of hiding it. That had been our first conversation. It lasted 3 hours, going in circles while I cried, and he explained why this wasn't really cheating because he still had feelings for me too. He said Gabrielle understood him in ways I didn't. That she shared his interests, his passion for hiking and photography, hobbies I'd encouraged him to pursue even when it meant weekends alone. I'd asked him to end it. He'd said no. I'd asked him why. He'd said he shouldn't have to choose. And now, 3 days later, here we were. Him giving me an ultimatum disguised as a choice. What makes you think I'd stay? I asked. Trevor leaned back in his chair, confident. Where would you go, Simone? You haven't worked in 5 years. I pay for everything, this house, your car, your credit cards, your health insurance. You gave up your career to focus on us having a family. The baby we never had. 5 years of trying, of fertility treatments, of my body betraying me month after month while Trevor promised it didn't matter. We had time, we had each other. Lies apparently. All lies. You need me, Trevor continued. And honestly, I'm being more fair than most men would be. I'm not leaving you homeless. I'm not abandoning our marriage. I'm just asking you to accept that I have needs you can't meet. Something cold settled in my chest as I looked at him. Really looked at him. Trevor was handsome, 6 feet tall, fit from his hiking trips, with dark skin that glowed with health and a smile that used to make my heart skip. I'd loved him since college, married him at 25, built my whole life around him. But the man sitting across from me wasn't the person I'd married. Or maybe he was and I'd been too blind to see it. 24 hours, Trevor repeated, checking his watch. It's 7 o'clock now. Tomorrow night, same time, you give me your answer. Can you be reasonable about this, or do we need to discuss separation? He said, separation, like a threat, like I should be scared of losing him. I nodded slowly. 24 hours. Good. Trevor stood up, kissed the top of my head like nothing was wrong, and went upstairs to shower. I heard the water running, heard him humming some song I didn't recognize. Probably a song Gabrielle liked. I sat at that table for 20 minutes after he went upstairs, not moving, barely breathing. Then I stood up, walked to Trevor's home office and opened his laptop. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't break anything. I just started collecting evidence. Because Trevor had made one very big mistake. He assumed I was helpless. He assumed I needed him more than I needed my dignity. He assumed I'd take whatever scraps of respect he was willing to throw at me. But Trevor forgot something important. Before I was his wife, before I gave up my career and spent 5 years trying to build a family with him, I was Simone Mitchell, a woman who graduated. Top of her class in marketing, who could research anything, who knew how to build a case and present it perfectly. And I had 24 hours to destroy both their lives the same way they destroyed mine. The laptop screen glowed in the dark office. I opened Trevor's email, knowing his password because he'd never bothered to hide it from me. Why would he? I was just his wife, sitting at home, cooking his dinners, being convenient and boring. The first email from Gabrielle was dated 8 months ago. 8 months of lies. 8 months of "I love you," while he was saying the same words to someone else. I opened a new document and started taking notes. Names, dates, locations. Every hotel receipt. Every romantic message. Every photo he'd saved of her. And then I found the most important piece of information. Gabrielle's full name. Gabrielle Patterson. I switched to social media, typed in her name, and there she was. Pretty, smiling in her profile picture. And right there, in a photo from 3 years ago, a wedding picture. Gabrielle and Nathan Patterson, looking happy on their wedding day. Nathan Patterson. Her husband. The man who had no idea his wife was spending her Tuesday and Thursday evenings in hotel rooms with my husband. I clicked on Nathan's profile. He worked in construction management. He posted photos of job sites, of a rescue dog named Cooper, of his wife at restaurants and on vacation. Recent photos showed him smiling next to Gabrielle, his arm around her waist. My hands hovered over the keyboard. Trevor thought he was giving me an ultimatum. He thought he had all the power. But I just found mine. I had 24 hours, but I didn't need that long. I needed maybe 4 hours to gather everything, organize it perfectly, and send it to Nathan Patterson with a message he couldn't ignore. Because Trevor was right about one thing: I did need to make a choice. But it wasn't the choice he thought he was giving me. The clock on Trevor's laptop showed 7:47 p.m. I could still hear the shower running upstairs. He liked long showers, especially after stressful days. I wondered how many of those showers had been washing off traces of Gabrielle. I pushed the thought away. Anger wouldn't help me right now. I needed to be cold, calculated, thorough. I created a new folder on the desktop and named it Evidence. Then I started from the beginning, going through every email in Trevor's inbox from the past year. I sorted by sender, looking for anything from Gabrielle Patterson or her email address, which I'd found through her photography business website. The first email was dated February 14th. Valentine's Day. 8 months ago. It was friendly, professional even. She'd met Trevor at a photography workshop, and they'd exchanged information about camera equipment. Nothing suspicious. But then I found the next one 3 days later. It was great talking with you after class yesterday. Want to grab coffee this weekend and show me those hiking trails you mentioned? I screenshotted and saved it to the folder. The emails got more personal over the next few weeks. Coffee turned into lunch. Lunch turned into a hike together. By March, the messages were different. I can't stop thinking about our conversation yesterday. My husband never wants to talk about anything deeper than sports and work. Trevor's response: I know what you mean. Simone is great, but sometimes I feel like we're roommates instead of partners. Roommates? That's what he'd called us. While I was at home researching fertility specialists and planning romantic dinners, trying to save our marriage that I didn't even know was broken. I took more screenshots. Each one felt like a small piece of armor I was building around myself. By April, they'd crossed a line. I kissed her today, Trevor had written to his best friend Jerome in an email. I know it's wrong, but it felt right. Gabrielle makes me feel like myself again. Jerome had responded, man, be careful. You're playing with fire. Trevor's reply, some fires are worth the burn. I saved that one too. My hands weren't shaking anymore. I felt numb, mechanical, like a lawyer building a case. That's what this was really. A case against my husband and his mistress. I moved to Trevor's text messages, which he'd backed up to his computer. Hundreds of messages to Gabrielle, deleted from his phone but preserved here in the cloud backup he probably forgot existed. Room 412 Riverside Hotel. I'll be there at 8. Wear that blue dress I like. Can't wait to taste you again. My stomach turned, but I kept going. I organized the screenshots by date, creating a timeline of their affair. Every Tuesday and Thursday evening for the past 6 months, Trevor had told me he was working late or going to the gym. I'd believed him because why wouldn't I? I was his wife. I trusted him. The hotel receipts were in his email too. Trevor wasn't even careful about hiding them. He'd saved the confirmation emails, probably never thinking I'd go looking. Riverside Hotel, every week $189 per night. I calculated it quickly, over $9,000 spent on hotel rooms in 6 months. Money from our joint account. Money I'd helped save during the years I did work. I found photos next. Trevor had a hidden folder on his laptop, password protected, but the password was the same as everything else: our wedding date. How ironic. The folder contained pictures of Gabrielle. Some were innocent: her smiling on a hiking trail, holding a coffee cup, standing in front of a sunset. But others weren't innocent at all. Her in lingerie. Her in the hotel room. Her and Trevor together, his arm around her, both of them looking at the camera like they were a real couple. My real couple. My husband. I copied everything to the evidence folder. Then I found the messages between Gabrielle and Trevor where they talked about their spouses. "Nathan thinks I'm at book club tonight," Gabrielle had texted. "He's so clueless. Sometimes I wonder if he'd even notice if I left." "Simone won't notice anything," Trevor had replied. "She's too focused on baby stuff. It's all she talks about anymore." That message was from 2 months ago. 2 months ago, I'd been crying in the bathroom after another negative pregnancy test, and Trevor had held me and said, "We'll keep trying, baby. It'll happen." It seemed so caring, so supportive. All lies. I heard the shower turn off upstairs. I quickly minimized the windows and opened a recipe website, sitting back in the chair as if I'd just been looking up dinner ideas. Trevor appeared in the doorway a few minutes later, wearing sweatpants and a t-shirt, his hair still damp. "What are you doing in here?" "Looking at recipes for tomorrow," I said, keeping my voice normal. "Thought I'd try something new." He nodded, satisfied. "Don't stay up too late thinking about everything." I meant what I said, Simone. "This can work if you let it." "I know," I said. "I'm really considering it." Trevor smiled, relieved. He actually looked relieved that I might accept him cheating on me. "Good. I think you'll realize this is better for both of us. No more secrets, no more lying. Just honesty." He left the office and I heard him turn on the TV in the living room. Some action movie he'd been wanting to watch. I turned back to the laptop and kept working. The next thing I needed was Nathan Patterson's contact information. His social media profile was private, but his construction company had a website with a contact page. I found his work email and his office phone number. Even better, I found his personal email address through a public records search. I opened a new email account, something generic and untraceable. Then I started drafting my message to Nathan. "Dear Nathan, my name is Simone, and I'm writing to you because you deserve to know the truth about your wife, Gabrielle." I stopped, deleted it, started again. The message needed to be clear, factual, impossible to dismiss as a lie or misunderstanding. "Nathan, I don't know you, but I know your wife Gabrielle is having an affair with my husband Trevor. I'm attaching proof of their relationship, including messages, photos, and hotel receipts. I thought you deserved to know. I'm sorry to be the one to tell you. Simone." Short, simple, direct. I attached the entire evidence folder, over 200 files of screenshots, photos, and receipts. Everything organized by date, everything labeled clearly. My cursor hovered over the send button. This was it. Once I sent this email, there was no taking it back. Nathan would know. Gabrielle's marriage would explode. Trevor's affair would be exposed to someone who could actually do something about it. Trevor thought he had 24 hours to wait for my answer. He thought he was in control. But I'd just taken all his power away. I clicked send. The email whooshed away into the digital universe, carrying with it the evidence that would destroy 2 lives the same way they destroyed mine. I cleared the browser history, deleted the evidence folder from Trevor's computer but kept copies on a flash drive I hid in my purse, and closed the laptop. Then I stood up, walked past Trevor watching his movie in the living room, and went upstairs to our bedroom. I pulled a suitcase from the closet and started packing. Not everything, just enough clothes for a week, my important documents, the jewelry my grandmother left me, my laptop, and some toiletries. Trevor wouldn't notice. He never came into the bedroom until late, and he never paid attention to my side of the closet anyway. I called my best friend Rochelle from the bathroom with the door closed and the fan running. "Hey girl, what's up?" she answered, cheerful. "I need a place to stay tonight," I whispered. "Can I come over?" Her tone changed immediately. "What happened? Is everything okay?" "I'll explain when I get there." "Is that okay?" "Of course. You always have a place here. Do you need me to come get you?" "No, I'll drive myself. I'll be there in about an hour." "Simone, are you safe?" "Yes, I promise. I just need to leave and I can't do it in the morning." Okay, I'll be here. Doors unlocked. I hung up and looked at myself in the bathroom mirror. My eyes were dry. I thought I would cry more, but there were no tears left. Just a cold determination that felt foreign and familiar at the same time. This was me taking back control. I finished packing, zipped up the suitcase, and hid it in the guest bedroom closet. Trevor never went in there. Then I went back downstairs and sat on the couch next to him, pretending to watch the movie. He put his arm around me and I didn't pull away. Let him think everything was fine. Let him think I was considering his ridiculous ultimatum. At 11 p.m., Trevor yawned and said he was going to bed. He had an early meeting tomorrow. Of course he did. I'll be up soon, I said. I want to finish this movie. He kissed my forehead and went upstairs. I waited 30 minutes, listening to the house settle into silence. Then I went upstairs, grabbed the suitcase from the guest room and carried it quietly down to my car in the garage. I came back inside one more time. I had to leave a note. Not because I owed Trevor an explanation, but because I wanted him to know that I'd made my choice. I found a piece of paper and wrote in clear, simple letters, "You don't have to leave." I already did. I left it on his pillow where he'd see it as soon as he woke up. Then I walked out of the house I'd called home for 5 years, got in my car, and drove to Rochelle's apartment across town. My phone started buzzing before I was even halfway there. Trevor calling. He must have gotten up for water or something and found the note. I didn't answer. He called 5 more times. Then the text started. "Simone, where are you? This is crazy. Come home so we can talk. You're making a mistake. Simone, answer your phone." I turned the phone on silent and kept driving. By the time I pulled up to Rochelle's apartment building, I had 37 missed calls and 23 text messages. I grabbed my suitcase and my purse and walked up to her door. She opened it before I could knock, took one look at my face and pulled me into a hug. "Whatever happened, you're safe now," she said. "Come on in." I walked into her small, cozy apartment and finally let myself breathe. It was 11:47 p.m. In 13 minutes, my 24 hours would be up. But I'd already given Trevor my answer, and I'd already sent Nathan Patterson the truth. Now all I had to do was wait for both their worlds to burn. Rochelle's apartment smelled like vanilla candles and the lavender tea she always drank before bed. She guided me to her couch, sat me down, and disappeared into the kitchen. I heard her filling the kettle, the soft clink of mugs on the counter. My phone was still buzzing in my purse. I pulled it out and saw the screen lit up with Trevor's name over and over again. I powered it off completely. "Okay," Rochelle said, coming back with 2 steaming mugs of tea. She handed me one and sat cross-legged on the other end of the couch, facing me. "Talk to me. What's going on?" Rochelle had been my friend since college. She was the one who introduced me to Trevor at a campus party, back when he seemed like a good guy with big dreams. She'd been my maid of honor at our wedding. She knew everything about my life except this. "Trevor's having an affair," I said. The words came out flat, emotionless. "He told me 3 days ago. Tonight, he gave me 24 hours to accept it or he'd leave me." Rochelle's mouth fell open. "He what?" "He's been seeing a woman named Gabrielle for 8 months. He wants to keep seeing her. He said I should be mature about it and accept that he has needs I can't meet." I took a sip of tea, barely tasting it. "He thought I'd just agree." "That man has lost his mind," Rochelle said, her voice rising. "Who does he think he is? You don't give someone an ultimatum about cheating. That's not how marriage works." "I know. Please tell me you told him where he could shove his ultimatum." I looked at her, and for the first time all night, I felt a small smile pull at my lips. "Better. I sent all the evidence to Gabrielle's husband." Rochelle's eyes went wide. "She's married?" "Yep. Her husband's name is Nathan. He had no idea. But he does now. I sent him everything, messages, photos, hotel receipts, all of it. I sent it about an hour ago." "Oh my God." Rochelle set down her tea and grabbed my hands. "Simone Mitchell, you're a genius. An absolute genius." "I don't know about genius. I just couldn't let them get away with it. Trevor thought he could control me because I don't work, because I depend on him financially. He thought I'd be too scared to leave. But you left anyway." "I left anyway," I confirmed. "I packed a bag, left him a note, and drove here. He's been calling non-stop." Rochelle squeezed my hands. "You can stay here as long as you need. The guest room is yours. We'll figure everything else out tomorrow, okay?" "Thank you," I said, and this time my voice cracked a little. The numbness was wearing off, and underneath it was anger and hurt and a grief so deep I didn't know how to process it. I can't believe this is my life now. This morning I was married. Tonight I'm staying in your guest room. This morning you were married to a man who didn't respect you, Rochelle corrected gently. Now you're free from him. That's not a loss, honey. That's a win. I wanted to believe her, but it didn't feel like a win yet. It felt like falling off a cliff with no idea where I'd land. We talked for another hour. Rochelle asked questions and I answered them. The timeline of the affair, how I found out, what Trevor had said. Saying it all out loud made it more real, more painful. Finally, around 2 a.m., Rochelle made up the guest bed for me and brought me extra pillows. Try to sleep, she said. Tomorrow we make a plan. I lay in the unfamiliar bed, staring at the ceiling, and wondered if Nathan had seen my email yet. Wondered what his reaction was. Wondered if Gabrielle knew her perfect little affair was about to become very public. I must have fallen asleep eventually because I woke up to sunlight streaming through the window and my phone buzzing. I turned it back on without thinking, and now it was blowing up with notifications. 53 missed calls. 42 text messages. 3 voicemails. Most were from Trevor, but some were from numbers I didn't recognize. I opened the text from Trevor first. Simone, please answer. I don't understand why you left. This is insane. You're acting crazy. You need to come home right now so we can fix this. I'm giving you until noon to come back or I'm changing the locks. That message made me laugh, a bitter sound. He was changing the locks. Fine. I didn't want to go back there anyway. But then I saw a text that made my stomach drop. What did you do? Gabrielle's husband showed up at my office. He knows. What the hell did you do, Simone? I sat up in bed, my heart racing. Nathan had gotten the email. He'd confronted Gabrielle. And somehow he'd found Trevor too. There was a voicemail from an unknown number. I played it, putting the phone on speaker. A man's voice, deep and angry. This is Nathan Patterson. I got your email. Thank you for telling me the truth. I'm handling it. Trevor and Gabrielle are done and so are our marriages. I thought you should know. The message ended. I sat there holding my phone, processing what I'd just heard. Nathan had confronted them. It was real now. The affair was blown wide open. There was a knock on the guest room door. You awake? Rochelle called. Yeah, come in. She opened the door, carrying a plate of scrambled eggs and toast. Made you breakfast. You need to eat something. She saw my face and set the plate down on the nightstand. What happened? Gabrielle's husband found out. He confronted them. Trevor's freaking out because his affair just became very real. I showed her the messages. Rochelle read them and shook her head. Good. Let him freak out. He brought this on himself. They both did. My phone rang again. Trevor's name on the screen. Don't answer it, Rochelle said. I'm not planning to. I declined the call and blocked his number. Then I went through my contacts and blocked all the unknown numbers too. If Trevor wanted to reach me, he could talk to my lawyer. Which reminded me I needed a lawyer. I need to file for divorce, I said out loud, testing the words. They felt heavy and final. I can give you the name of a good attorney, Rochelle said. My cousin went through a divorce last year. The lawyer she used was tough as nails. Okay, yeah, I need tough. We spent the morning in Rochelle's living room, me eating breakfast while she made calls. By noon, I had an appointment with attorney Jasmine Brooks. Wait, I couldn't use that name. By noon, I had an appointment with attorney Vanessa Holmes for the next day. My phone kept buzzing with calls from numbers I didn't recognize. Trevor was using other phones to try to reach me. I ignored all of them. Around 2 p.m., a text came through from a number that wasn't blocked yet. Simone, this is Trevor's mother. Please call me. I need to understand what's happening. I stared at the message. Trevor had told his parents. Of course he had. He probably painted himself as the victim, confused about why his wife suddenly left him. I typed back, ask your son about Gabrielle. That's all you need to know. Then I blocked her number too. Rochelle ordered Chinese food for dinner, and we ate it straight from the containers while watching reality TV. Neither of us mentioned Trevor or Gabrielle or any of it. We just existed in this bubble where life was normal and simple. But that night, alone in the guest room again, I let myself feel everything I'd been pushing down. I cried into the pillow, mourning the marriage I thought I had, the future I'd planned, the children I'd wanted. All of it was gone now, replaced by this new reality where I was alone and starting over. But underneath the grief was something else. Something small but growing. Relief. I didn't have to pretend anymore. I didn't have to wonder why Trevor seemed distant or why our marriage felt hollow. I didn't have to blame myself for not being enough. Because the truth was, I had been enough. More than enough. Trevor was the problem, not me. And I'd already started fixing it by leaving. The next morning, I had my meeting with Vanessa Holmes. She was a short woman in her 50s with gray hair pulled back in a neat bun and sharp eyes that missed nothing. "Tell me everything," she said, pen poised over a legal pad. I told her about the affair, the ultimatum, the evidence I'd collected, Nathan Patterson receiving the information. I told her about our finances, the house, the 5 years I'd been out of the workforce. Vanessa took notes, nodding occasionally. When I finished, she looked up at me. "You did everything right," she said. "The evidence you gathered will make this divorce straightforward. Texas is a no-fault divorce state, but proof of adultery can affect property division and spousal support. You'll be fine." "How long will it take?" "If he doesn't contest it, 60 days minimum. If he fights it, could be 6 months to a year." "He'll fight it," I said with certainty. "He thinks I'm going to come back." Vanessa smiled, a sharp expression that reminded me of a shark. "Then we'll make sure he understands you're not. I'll file the papers today. He'll be served by the end of the week." I left her office feeling lighter than I had in days. This was really happening. I was divorcing Trevor. I was taking back my life. Rochelle had given me permission to stay with her as long as I needed, but I couldn't live in her guest room forever. I needed a job. I needed income. I needed to rebuild the independence I'd given up 5 years ago when Trevor convinced me to quit my marketing position. That afternoon, I updated my resume. It felt strange listing my last job as 5 years ago, explaining the gap with personal leave. But I kept up with industry trends, read marketing blogs, stayed current even without working. I could do this. I applied to 15 jobs that day. Marketing coordinator positions, social media manager roles, anything that fit my experience and didn't require 5 years of recent work. I didn't expect to hear back quickly, but the next day I got 3 emails requesting interviews. Things were moving fast. Too fast maybe. But I couldn't slow down. If I slowed down, I'd have time to think about everything I'd lost. I'd have time to wonder if I'd made the right choice. So I kept moving forward, one step at a time, toward a future I couldn't quite see yet but knew had to be better than the past I was leaving behind. Trevor sent one more message before I blocked his final number. It came through on a Thursday, exactly 1 week after his ultimatum. "I never wanted this. I never wanted to hurt you. But you're the one who ruined everything by telling Nathan. Gabrielle is divorcing me now too. I hope you're happy." I read it twice, then deleted it without responding. He still didn't get it. He thought I'd ruined everything when really I'd just exposed what he'd already broken. And honestly, I was starting to think I might actually be happy someday. Just not with him. Trevor sat in his car outside his office building, staring at his phone. 37 calls to Simone. 23 text messages. All ignored. He'd come home from work yesterday expecting to have the conversation with her. 24 hours was up. She was supposed to give him her answer, to tell him she understood, that they could make this work. Instead, he'd found her note on his pillow. 5 words that made his blood run cold. "You don't have to leave. I already did." Her closet was half empty. Her toiletries were gone from the bathroom. Her laptop, her important documents, even the photo of her grandmother she kept on the nightstand, all gone. She'd actually left him. Trevor hadn't believed it at first. He'd called her immediately, certain this was just a dramatic gesture, a way to make him feel guilty. Simone didn't make big moves like this. She was predictable, stable, safe. That's why he'd married her. But she didn't answer. Not that night, not the next morning, not when he called from different phones because she'd blocked his number. She was really gone. "This is your fault," Gabrielle had said when he called her in a panic. "You should have just kept this between us. You didn't have to tell her." But Trevor had felt suffocated by the lying. He'd wanted honesty, transparency. He'd wanted to have both women in his life without the guilt. Now he had neither. Gabrielle had been distant since Simone left. She'd said she needed space to think, that things were getting too complicated. Trevor didn't understand. The complication was over, Simone was gone. They could be together freely now. But Gabrielle kept making excuses. She was busy. She needed time. She'd call him later. She never called. Trevor got out of his car and walked into his office building, trying to focus on work. He had a big presentation today for a potential client. He couldn't let his personal life destroy his professional reputation. He made it through the morning, forcing himself to concentrate on spreadsheets and marketing strategies. At lunch, he tried calling Simone one more time from a coworker's phone. She didn't answer. At 2 p.m., his receptionist buzzed his office. "Trevor, there's a Nathan Patterson here to see you. He doesn't have an appointment, but he says it's urgent." Trevor froze. Nathan Patterson. Gabrielle's husband. "I'll be right there," he said, his voice sounding strange even to himself. He walked to the lobby on unsteady legs. Nathan was standing by the window, a tall man in jeans and a work shirt with a construction company logo. He turned when Trevor approached, and the look in his eyes made Trevor want to run. "We need to talk," Nathan said. His voice was calm, but there was rage underneath it, barely controlled. "I don't think that's a good idea," Trevor said, glancing at the receptionist who was watching with obvious interest. "I don't care what you think is a good idea," Nathan replied. "Your wife sent me some very interesting emails last night. Photos, messages, hotel receipts. Want to guess what they showed?" Trevor's stomach dropped. "What are you talking about?" "Don't play stupid. Simone sent me everything. Every text message you and Gabrielle exchanged. Every picture you took. Every time you booked a room at the Riverside Hotel." Nathan took a step closer. "Did you think nobody would find out?" "Nathan, I don't want to hear your excuses." Nathan's jaw was tight. "I want you to know that my marriage is over because of you. Gabrielle and I are getting divorced. And I'm making sure everyone knows why." Trevor looked around nervously. Other employees were starting to notice the confrontation. His boss was probably in his office down the hall. "Can we talk about this somewhere private?" Trevor asked. "No, we're done talking. I just wanted you to see my face when I told you that I'm telling your boss, your clients, anyone who will listen what kind of man you are. You destroyed 2 marriages. You should face the consequences." "You can't do that," Trevor said, his voice rising. "That's slander." "It's only slander if it's not true." Nathan pulled out his phone and showed Trevor the screen. "I've got all the proof I need right here thanks to your wife. The real question is, what are you going to do when everyone knows?" Nathan turned and walked out of the office, leaving Trevor standing in the lobby with his receptionist and 2 co-workers staring at him. "What was that about?" the receptionist asked. "Nothing," Trevor said quickly. "Just a misunderstanding." But his hands were shaking as he walked back to his office. Simone had told Nathan. She'd sent him everything. That's why Gabrielle had been distant. Nathan knew. Their affair was exposed. Trevor grabbed his phone and called Gabrielle. This time she answered. "What do you want?" Her voice was cold. "Nathan just showed up at my office. He knows everything. He said Simone sent him proof." "I know. He came home last night and threw a laptop at me. Literally threw it. Showed me all the messages, all the photos. He called me things I've never been called in my life." Gabrielle's voice broke. "He filed for divorce this morning." "Gabrielle, I'm sorry." "Sorry? You're sorry? This is your fault, Trevor. You told Simone. You couldn't just keep your mouth shut. I thought honesty was better." "Honesty?" Gabrielle laughed, a bitter sound. "You wanted to have both of us. You wanted me in secret and your wife at home. But you got greedy and now we're both paying for it." "We can still be together," Trevor said desperately. "Our marriages are over anyway. We can actually be a real couple now." There was a long silence on the other end. Then Gabrielle said very quietly, "I don't want to be with you anymore." "What?" "This wasn't supposed to become my real life. It was supposed to be an escape, something exciting. But now it's destroyed my marriage, my reputation. Nathan is telling everyone. My friends, my family, everyone at church. I can't show my face anywhere without people whispering." Her voice hardened. "I want nothing to do with you. Don't call me again." She hung up. Trevor sat at his desk, staring at his phone, trying to process what had just happened. Simone had left him. Gabrielle had dumped him. Nathan was threatening to ruin his reputation. Everything was falling apart. His boss knocked on his office door and stuck his head in. "Trevor, can we talk?" "Sure, what's up?" His boss came in and closed the door, which was never a good sign. "I just got a very disturbing phone call from a man named Nathan Patterson. He claims you've been having an affair with his wife. Is that true?" Trevor felt his face go hot. "That's a personal matter. It becomes a company matter when the husband shows up at our office making accusations. It becomes a company matter when it affects your ability to work with clients." His boss crossed his arms. "Is it true?" Trevor hesitated, then nodded. "Yes, but it's over now. I'm going to need you to take a few days off while we figure out how to handle this. We have a reputation to maintain and right now you're a liability." "You're suspending me?" "I'm asking you to take some personal time. Paid leave. Use it to sort out your life." His boss opened the door. "Go home, Trevor. We'll talk next week." Trevor grabbed his briefcase and left the office, feeling the eyes of every co-worker on him as he walked through the building. The story was probably already spreading. By tomorrow everyone would know. He got to his car and just sat there, gripping the steering wheel. Everything he'd built, his marriage, his relationship with Gabrielle, his reputation at work, all of it was crumbling because Simone couldn't just be reasonable. No, that wasn't fair. This was crumbling because he'd made bad choices. Because he'd hurt people. But he couldn't quite bring himself to accept that yet. Trevor drove home to the empty house and found it exactly as Simone had left it. Her note was still on the pillow. Her side of the closet was still half empty. He picked up his phone and tried calling her one more time. Blocked. He sent a text. Simone, please? Can we just talk? The message didn't deliver. She'd blocked his number completely. Trevor sat on the edge of the bed and finally let himself feel the full weight of what he'd lost. Not just Simone, but the life he'd taken for granted. The woman who'd loved him, supported him, tried to build a family with him. He'd thrown it all away for excitement, for someone who made him feel young and passionate and alive. And now he was alone. Meanwhile, across town at Rochelle's apartment, Simone was getting ready for her first job interview in 5 years. She'd chosen a professional navy dress and her good heels. Her hair was pulled back in a neat bun, and she'd done her makeup carefully, covering the shadows under her eyes that came from crying herself to sleep. You look amazing, Rochelle said, handing her a travel mug of coffee. You're going to nail this interview. I hope so. Simone checked her reflection one more time. I need this job. I need to prove I can stand on my own. You already proved that by leaving Trevor. This is just the next step. The interview was at a tech startup called Innovate Solutions. They were looking for a marketing coordinator, someone who could manage social media, create content, and help with brand strategy. It was perfect for Simone's experience, even with the 5-year gap. She drove to their office in a renovated building downtown, parked, and took a deep breath before going inside. The receptionist directed her to a conference room where 3 people were waiting: the CEO, the head of marketing, and the creative director. Simone Mitchell, the CEO said, standing to shake her hand. Thanks for coming in. I'm Brian. This is Patricia, our marketing director, and Isaiah, our creative director. Isaiah was the last one to shake her hand. He was tall, had kind eyes, and a smile that reached all the way to those eyes. Nice to meet you, he said. They spent an hour asking her questions about her previous experience, her approach to marketing, her familiarity with different social media platforms. Simone answered confidently, drawing on her old knowledge and the research she'd done over the past 5 years to stay current. I see you have a 5-year gap in your employment, Patricia noted. Can you explain that? Simone had prepared for this question. I took time off for personal reasons, but I stayed current with industry trends through online courses and reading. I'm ready to jump back in and contribute immediately. What made you decide to return to work now? Brian asked. I'm going through a life transition, Simone said honestly. I'm ready for a new chapter and I want to rebuild my career. They seemed satisfied with that answer. At the end of the interview, Isaiah walked her out to the lobby. You did really well in there, he said. Patricia was impressed. Thank you. I hope I get the opportunity to work with you all. Between you and me, Isaiah said, lowering his voice, I think you will. We've interviewed 5 other candidates and you're the strongest so far. Simone felt a surge of hope. That means a lot. We'll be in touch by the end of the week. Isaiah held out his hand again and she shook it. His grip was firm, professional, warm. Simone left the building feeling lighter than she had in days. The interview went well. She might actually get this job. She might actually be okay. Her phone buzzed with a notification. A text from an unknown number. This is Vanessa Holmes. Trevor has been served with divorce papers. He tried to refuse them, but the process server was persistent. It's official now. Call me if you have questions. Simone stood on the sidewalk, reading the message 3 times. It was official. She was divorcing Trevor. The marriage was really over. She expected to feel sad, but instead she felt free. She got in her car and drove back to Rochelle's apartment, where her best friend was waiting with champagne. How did it go? Rochelle asked. The interview went great. And Trevor got served divorce papers. Simone took the champagne glass Rochelle offered. I think I'm actually going to be okay. You're not going to be okay, Rochelle corrected, raising her glass. You're going to be amazing. They clinked glasses and drank to new beginnings. 3 days after the interview, Simone got the call. We'd like to offer you the marketing coordinator position, Patricia said. Can you start Monday? Simone was lying on Rochelle's couch, staring at the ceiling and trying not to think about Trevor. The call jolted her upright. Yes, she said immediately. Absolutely yes. Great. I'll send over the offer letter and all the paperwork. Welcome to Innovate Solutions. Simone hung up and screamed, a sound of pure joy that brought Rochelle running from her bedroom. What happened? Are you okay? I got the job. Simone jumped up and hugged her friend. I actually got the job. They spent the afternoon celebrating, ordering pizza and watching old movies. For the first time since finding Trevor's messages, Simone felt like maybe life could be good again. But that evening reality set in. She had a job starting Monday, which meant she needed professional clothes, transportation, and her own place eventually. She'd been living with Rochelle for almost 2 weeks, sleeping in the guest room and trying not to be a burden. I need to find an apartment, Simone said during dinner. You've been amazing, but I can't stay here forever. You can stay as long as you need, Rochelle insisted. But if you want your own space, I get it. Let's start looking. They spent the weekend apartment hunting. Simone's budget was tight. She'd taken half the money from her and Trevor's joint account, which gave her about $10,000, but that had to cover deposits, furniture, and living expenses until she got her first paycheck. Most apartments were too expensive. Others were in bad neighborhoods or required income verification she couldn't provide yet. On Sunday afternoon, they found a small one-bedroom in a decent area. It was on the 3rd floor of an older building with hardwood floors that creaked and a kitchen the size of a closet. But it had big windows that let in natural light, and the landlord was willing to work with her situation. I can move in next weekend, Simone told the landlord, signing the lease with shaky hands. Her own place, her own space, her own life. Monday morning arrived too quickly. Simone woke up at 6, nervous and excited. She put on one of her interview outfits and drove to Innovate Solutions, arriving 15 minutes early. Isaiah met her in the lobby. First day. Let me show you around. He gave her a tour of the office, an open floor plan with modern furniture, a break room with fancy coffee machines, and a conference room with a wall covered in sticky notes of project ideas. Your desk is here, Isaiah said, gesturing to a spot near the windows. You'll be working mostly with me and Patricia on campaigns and content strategy. Simone's desk had a new computer, a notebook, and a welcome card signed by everyone in the office. Thank you, she said, feeling unexpectedly emotional. This is really nice. We're glad you're here. Isaiah smiled at her, and Simone noticed again how kind his eyes were. Let's get you set up and then we can dive into your first project. The day flew by. Simone learned the company's systems, met with Patricia to discuss upcoming campaigns, and brainstormed social media content with Isaiah. She felt rusty at first, but muscle memory kicked in. She remembered how to write engaging copy, how to think about target audiences, how to build a content calendar. By the end of the day, she was exhausted but satisfied. You did great today, Isaiah said as they were packing up. Seriously, you jumped right in. I think you're going to fit in perfectly here. I hope so. Thank you for being so welcoming. Of course. We're a small team, so we try to support each other. He grabbed his bag and walked with her to the parking lot. Have a good evening, Simone. She drove back to Rochelle's apartment feeling proud of herself. She'd survived her first day. She was a working woman again, earning her own money, building her own future. Her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Simone, it's Trevor's mom. Please call me. I don't understand what's happening. Simone sighed. Trevor's parents had been calling and texting for days. She'd blocked Trevor's mother once already, but apparently she'd gotten a new number. She typed back, your son had an affair and gave me an ultimatum to accept it. I left. That's all you need to know. This time she didn't block the number. Let Trevor's mother know the truth. Let her understand that her son wasn't the victim here. The response came quickly, I don't believe that. Trevor said you left for no reason. Ask him about Gabrielle Patterson and the Riverside Hotel. Then decide who you believe. Simone blocked the number and turned off her phone. That week passed in a blur of learning new systems, meeting with clients and creating content. Simone threw herself into work, grateful for the distraction. She moved into her new apartment that Saturday with Rochelle's help and a borrowed truck. The apartment looked empty with just a blow-up mattress, a folding table and 2 chairs. But it was hers. We'll get you furniture, Rochelle said, looking around the bare space. Little by little. Little by little, Simone agreed. That night, she lay on the air mattress in her empty apartment and felt more peaceful than she had in years. No Trevor. No lies. No trying to fix a marriage that had been broken for longer than she'd realized. Just her starting over. Work became her anchor. She arrived early every morning and stayed late, building campaigns and strategy documents. Patricia praised her work. The CEO complimented her ideas in meetings. and Isaiah became a friend, someone she could talk to without feeling judged. They had lunch together most days, discussing projects and sharing stories. Simone was careful not to talk too much about Trevor or the divorce, but Isaiah sensed she was going through something difficult. "You don't have to tell me," he said one afternoon while they ate sandwiches in the break room. "But if you ever want to talk, I'm here." "Thank you," Simone said. "I'm going through a separation. It's been hard, but I'm managing." Separation is tough. I went through a breakup last year. Not a marriage, but it felt like my world was ending at the time. Isaiah took a sip of his coffee. "It gets easier though. Eventually you wake up one day and realize you're okay. I'm looking forward to that day. It'll come sooner than you think." 2 months into the job, Simone got her first paycheck. It wasn't much, but it was hers. Money she'd earned through her own work, not dependent on Trevor. She bought a couch from a thrift store and a coffee table from a garage sale. Rochelle helped her pick out curtains and decorations. Slowly the apartment became a home. Trevor kept trying to reach her. He called from different numbers, sent emails, even showed up at Rochelle's apartment once. Rochelle had threatened to call the police and he'd left, but not before shouting that Simone was being unreasonable. Unreasonable for not accepting that he wanted to cheat, Rochelle had said afterward. "That man is delusional." The divorce proceedings moved forward. Vanessa Holmes was ruthless, using the evidence of Trevor's affair to argue for a favorable settlement. Trevor's lawyer tried to claim the affair was irrelevant, but the judge disagreed. In Texas, adultery is grounds for a disproportionate division of property, Vanessa explained during one of their meetings. "We're pushing for you to get 60% of the assets, plus spousal support for 2 years while you rebuild your career." Will he agree to that? He doesn't have much choice. The evidence is overwhelming. Trevor's parents finally called Simone one more time. His father this time. "Simone, please talk to us. Trevor is devastated. He made a mistake, but he's sorry. Can't you find it in your heart to forgive him?" "No," Simone said simply. "I can't. He made his choice. Now I'm making mine." But marriage is about forgiveness. Marriage is also about respect. Trevor didn't respect me enough to be faithful. I'm not going back to someone who thinks I should accept being betrayed. Simone's voice was calm but firm. "I'm sorry, but my decision is final. Please don't call me again." She hung up and blocked the number. At work, things continued to improve. Patricia promoted Simone to senior marketing coordinator after just 3 months, impressed by her work ethic and creativity. "You've exceeded every expectation," Patricia said. "I'm glad we hired you." Isaiah took her out for celebratory drinks after work that Friday. They went to a quiet bar near the office and talked about everything except work: movies, music, childhood memories. "I grew up in Houston," Isaiah said. "My mom was a teacher, my dad worked construction. They wanted me to be a lawyer or doctor, something practical. Instead, I became a graphic designer." "Did they eventually accept it?" "Yeah, once they saw I could actually make a living at it." He smiled. "What about you? What did your family want you to be?" "My mom wanted me to be independent above everything else. She raised me by herself after my dad left when I was young. She always said, 'Never depend on anyone else to take care of you.' I wish I'd listened to her better." "You listened eventually," Isaiah pointed out. "That's what matters." They stayed at the bar for hours, talking and laughing. For the first time in months, Simone felt like a normal person again, not just a woman recovering from betrayal. When Isaiah dropped her off at her apartment, he said, "This was really nice. We should do it again sometime." "I'd like that," Simone said. She went upstairs feeling lighter than she had in a long time. But that night, lying in bed, she let herself think about Trevor for the first time in weeks. She wondered if he was okay, if he regretted what he'd done, if he'd found someone else. Then she realized she didn't actually care about the answers to those questions. Trevor was her past. Isaiah might be her future, or he might just be a good friend. Either way, her life was moving forward and she was finally okay with that. 4 months after leaving Trevor, Simone's life had settled into a rhythm. She woke up early, went to work, came home to her small apartment, and spent evenings either working on personal projects or hanging out with Rochelle. It wasn't exciting, but it was peaceful. The divorce was progressing slowly. Trevor kept trying to delay the proceedings, hoping Simone would change her mind. His lawyer filed motion after motion, arguing about property division and spousal support. "He's stalling," Vanessa explained during one of their meetings. "He thinks if he drags this out long enough, you'll get tired and settle for less." "I'm not getting tired," Simone said. I'll wait as long as it takes. Good. So will I. At work, Simone had become an essential part of the team. She managed 3 major client accounts, created content that consistently performed well, and had even started mentoring a new intern named Destiny. Isaiah and Simone had fallen into an easy friendship. They grabbed lunch together most days, collaborated on projects, and sometimes went for coffee after work. Simone was careful not to read too much into it. Isaiah was kind to everyone, and she was still technically married, still healing from Trevor's betrayal. But there were moments, small ones, when she caught Isaiah looking at her with something more than friendly interest. A lingering glance across the conference table. The way he always made sure to sit next to her during meetings. How he laughed at her jokes even when they weren't that funny. Simone told herself not to think about it. She wasn't ready for anything romantic. Maybe she never would be. One Tuesday afternoon, Patricia called Simone into her office. "Close the door," Patricia said, which made Simone nervous. Those words never meant good news. "Is everything okay?" "Everything's fine. Actually, better than fine." Patricia smiled. "I'm promoting you again. Marketing manager. You'll oversee the entire marketing department, including Isaiah and the rest of the team." Simone's jaw dropped. "Really? Really? You've earned it. Your campaigns have brought in 3 new clients this quarter, our social media engagement is up 45%, and everyone on the team respects you. You're the obvious choice." "Thank you," Simone said, still processing. "I don't know what to say." "Say you'll accept. It comes with a significant raise in your own office." "I accept," Simone said immediately. They spent the next hour discussing the new role, the responsibilities, the salary. When Simone left Patricia's office, she felt like she was floating. Isaiah was at his desk when she passed. "Hey, you look happy. What's going on?" "I just got promoted to marketing manager." Isaiah stood up and hugged her, a quick embrace that caught her off guard. "That's amazing. Congratulations." "Thanks. I'm honestly shocked." "Don't be. You're incredible at what you do." Isaiah released her, his hands lingering on her shoulders for just a moment. "We should celebrate. Let me take you to dinner." "You don't have to do that." "I want to. There's this great restaurant downtown I've been wanting to try." "Please? Let me celebrate your success with you." Simone hesitated. Dinner felt different than lunch. Dinner felt like a date. But maybe that was okay. Maybe she was ready to start living again, not just surviving. "Okay," she said. "Dinner sounds nice." They made plans for Friday night, and Simone spent the rest of the week second-guessing her decision. Was it too soon? Was she leading Isaiah on if she wasn't sure about her feelings? Was it even appropriate to date someone she worked with? "Stop overthinking," Rochelle said when Simone called her that evening. "You're allowed to have dinner with a nice man. It doesn't have to mean anything more than that." "But what if he thinks it's a date?" "Then let him think that. Simone, you've been divorced, well, almost divorced for months. You've done nothing but work and heal. You deserve to have some fun." "I don't know if I'm ready for fun." "There's only one way to find out." Friday came too quickly. Simone changed outfits 3 times before settling on a simple black dress and heels. Not too formal, not too casual. She put on makeup and left her hair down, something she rarely did anymore. Isaiah picked her up at 7. He was wearing dark jeans and a button-down shirt, looking more put together than she'd ever seen him at work. "You look beautiful," he said when she opened the door. "Thanks. You look nice too." The restaurant was small and intimate, with low lighting and soft music. They were seated at a corner table and Isaiah ordered wine for both of them. "To your promotion," he said, raising his glass. "You earned it." "To new beginnings," Simone added, and they clinked glasses. The conversation flowed easily like it always did with Isaiah. They talked about work, about the funny client meeting they'd had that week, about the new campaign they were planning. But then Isaiah asked, "Can I ask you something personal?" "Sure. You mentioned you're going through a separation. Is it okay if I ask what happened?" "You don't have to answer if you don't want to." Simone took a sip of wine, considering. She'd been careful not to talk about Trevor at work, not wanting her personal life to affect her professional reputation. But Isaiah had become more than a co-worker. He was a friend. "My husband had an affair," she said simply. "He told me I could either accept it or leave. So I left." Isaiah's expression darkened. "He gave you an ultimatum about his affair?" "Yep. He wanted both of us, his wife and his mistress. When I said no, he acted like I was being unreasonable." "That's not just unreasonable, that's cruel." "It was." Simone looked down at her plate. "The worst part is that I spent 5 years trying to make our marriage work. I quit my job, focused on trying to have kids, did everything I could to be a good wife. And he threw it away for someone else. I'm sorry that happened to you, Isaiah said quietly. You deserved better. I'm figuring that out. She looked up and met his eyes. Being on my own has been hard, but it's also been good. I'm remembering who I was before Trevor. And who is that? Someone stronger than I thought. Isaiah reached across the table and took her hand. His palm was warm, his grip gentle. For what it's worth, I think you're one of the strongest people I know. You walked away from a bad situation, rebuilt your career in months, and you never let any of it affect your work. That takes courage. Simone felt tears prick her eyes, but she blinked them back. Thank you. That means a lot. They finished dinner and walked around downtown afterward, talking and laughing. It felt natural, easy. For the first time since leaving Trevor, Simone felt like maybe she could have this companionship, attraction, the possibility of something more. When Isaiah dropped her off at her apartment, he walked her to the door. I had a really good time tonight, he said. Me too. Can we do this again? Not as co-workers, but as more? Simone's heart raced. This was the moment. She could say yes and open herself up to the possibility of being hurt again. Or she could say no and stay safe in her cocoon of work and solitude. I'd like that, she said. But I need to go slow. I'm still figuring out who I am after everything that happened. Slow is good, Isaiah said. I'm not in a hurry. I just want to spend time with you. He leaned in and kissed her cheek, a soft gesture that made her skin tingle. Good night, Simone. Good night. She went inside and leaned against the door, touching her cheek where he'd kissed her. This was real. She was moving on. And it felt good. That weekend, Trevor showed up at her apartment. Simone was carrying groceries upstairs when she saw him waiting by her door. Her stomach dropped. What are you doing here? She demanded. We need to talk. Trevor looked terrible. His eyes were bloodshot, his hair uncombed, his clothes wrinkled. No, we don't. Anything you need to say can go through our lawyers. Simone, please. 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. She wanted to say no, wanted to call the police and have him removed. But part of her was curious about what he could possibly have to say after all this time. 5 minutes, she agreed, unlocking her door. That's it. They went inside and Trevor looked around the small apartment. This is where you're living? It's home. It's tiny. You should be in a real house, not some. Trevor, you have 4 minutes. Say what you came to say. He took a deep breath. I made a mistake. A huge one. I shouldn't have told you about Gabrielle. I should have just ended it quietly. But I was confused and I thought being honest was the right thing. The right thing would have been not cheating in the first place. I know. I know that now. Trevor ran his hand through his hair. But I'm asking you to forgive me. To give me another chance. We can go to counseling, work through this. No. Simone. No, Trevor. I'm not giving you another chance. You didn't make one mistake. You made hundreds of choices over 8 months to betray me. You lied to my face. You spent our money on hotel rooms. You gave me an ultimatum instead of an apology. I'm apologizing now. It's too late. Simone set down her groceries and crossed her arms. I've moved on. I have a new job, a new life. I'm happy without you. You can't be happy in this tiny apartment, working some entry-level job. I'm not entry-level. I'm the marketing manager. I got promoted twice in 4 months. Simone's voice was steady, proud. I'm doing better than I ever did when I was with you. Trevor stared at her like he'd never seen her before. You're different. I'm myself again. The person I was before I let you convince me I needed to give up everything to make you happy. I never asked you to give up. Yes, you did. You asked me to quit my job. You asked me to focus on having kids. You asked me to accept your affair. Every time I said yes because I thought that's what love was, sacrifice. But real love doesn't ask you to destroy yourself. Trevor's face crumpled. I still love you. No, you don't. You love the idea of me, the version that did whatever you wanted. But that person is gone. Simone opened the door. Your 5 minutes are up. Please leave. Simone. Leave, Trevor. And don't come back. He walked to the door, hesitated, then turned back. I'm not signing the divorce papers. I'm going to fight this. Go ahead. Fight all you want. It won't change anything. Simone met his eyes without flinching. I'm done with you. Trevor left and Simone closed the door behind him, locking it firmly. She leaned against the door and let out a long breath. Her hands were shaking, but not from fear or sadness. From relief. She'd faced Trevor, stood her ground, and walked away stronger. That evening, Isaiah texted her, How was your weekend? Eventful, she replied. But good. Want to grab coffee tomorrow? I'd love to. Simone smiled at her phone and realized something important. She wasn't just surviving anymore. She was living. 6 months after leaving Trevor, Simone stood in her apartment and barely recognized it as the same empty space she'd moved into. The walls were now painted a soft gray, with artwork she'd picked up from local markets. A comfortable couch sat in the living room, flanked by plants that Rochelle had helped her keep alive. The kitchen had real dishes instead of paper plates. The bedroom had an actual bed frame and a quilt her mother had sent her. It was home. Simone was getting ready for another dinner with Isaiah, their 4th date, though they'd been spending time together almost every day. Things between them had progressed slowly, carefully, both of them aware of the complications of dating a co-worker and Simone's still pending divorce. But it felt right. Isaiah made her laugh. He listened when she talked. He didn't pressure her for more than she was ready to give. And when he kissed her goodnight after their 3rd date, it had felt like coming alive after a long sleep. Her phone rang as she was putting on earrings. Vanessa Holmes. Simone, I have news, the attorney said. Trevor signed the divorce papers. Simone's hand froze midair. He did. Yes. This morning. He's agreed to all our terms, 60% property division to you, 2 years of spousal support, and he's keeping the house while you keep your car free and clear. It's over. It's really over? Well, we still have to wait for the judge to finalize everything, but yes, the hard part is done. You'll be officially divorced in about 6 weeks. Simone sat down on her bed, processing the information. After months of fighting, Trevor had finally given up. She was free. Thank you, she said to Vanessa. For everything. You did the hard part. I just made sure you got what you deserved. Vanessa paused. How are you doing? Really? I'm good. Actually, I'm really good. I'm glad. You've been one of my easier clients because you knew what you wanted and you didn't waver. That's rare. After they hung up, Simone sat in silence for a moment, letting the news sink in. Trevor had signed. Their marriage was ending. Not with drama or fighting, but with a signature on legal documents. It felt anticlimactic and perfect at the same time. When Isaiah picked her up that evening, she told him the news. Trevor signed the divorce papers. It's really over. Isaiah pulled her into a hug. How do you feel? Relieved. Happy. Like I can finally close that chapter completely. We should celebrate. Where do you want to go? Anywhere, Simone said. Surprise me. Isaiah drove them to an art gallery opening downtown. Simone had mentioned once that she loved art but never had time to visit galleries when she was with Trevor. Isaiah had remembered. They walked through the exhibit hand in hand, looking at paintings and sculptures, discussing what they liked and didn't like. It was comfortable, intimate without being pressured. Thank you for remembering I like art, Simone said as they stood in front of a painting of a sunrise. I remember everything you tell me, Isaiah said. You mentioned it once, maybe 2 months ago. You said Trevor never wanted to go to galleries with you because he found them boring. He did. His loss. I think this is fun. They stayed until the gallery closed, then walked to a nearby coffee shop that was open late. They ordered desserts and talked for hours about everything and nothing. Can I ask you something? Isaiah said eventually. And you can tell me if I'm overstepping. Go ahead. Are you okay with us dating? With how we're progressing? I don't want to rush you into anything you're not ready for. Simone considered the question. Was she ready? She'd spent months healing, building her own life, figuring out who she was without Trevor. She'd been scared to let anyone in again, afraid of being hurt. But Isaiah wasn't Trevor. He'd proven that over and over with his patience, his kindness, his respect for her boundaries. I'm okay with it, she said. More than okay, actually. You make me happy, Isaiah. For the first time in a long time, I feel like myself. You make me happy too. He reached across the table and took her hand. I know we have to be careful because we work together and I know you're still healing from your marriage. But I want you to know I'm serious about this. About us. I'm serious too. They left the coffee shop and Isaiah walked her to her car. They kissed under the streetlights, a longer kiss than before, full of promise and possibility. Simone drove home feeling like she was floating. The next few weeks passed in a blur of happiness. Work was great, her campaigns were succeeding, her team was thriving, and Patricia had started talking about making her a partner in the company eventually. Isaiah and Simone's relationship deepened, moving from casual dates to real commitment. And Trevor had finally faded into the background of her life. She heard through mutual acquaintances that he was dating someone new, a woman from his gym. Simone felt nothing when she heard the news. No jealousy, no anger, no sadness. Just indifference. That's when she knew she'd really moved on. One evening, Rochelle came over with wine and takeout. "Girl, I am so proud of you," Rochelle said, pouring them both generous glasses. "Look at you. New job, new man, new life. You're glowing." "I feel good," Simone admitted. "Like I'm finally where I'm supposed to be. Trevor really thought you couldn't survive without him. I bet he's eating his words now." "I don't think about Trevor anymore, honestly." "That's how you know you've won," Rochelle said, raising her glass. "When you stop caring enough to even think about revenge or vindication. You've just moved on and left him in the dust." They clinked glasses and drank. "So when do I get to officially meet Isaiah as your boyfriend?" Rochelle asked. "I've seen him at work events, but I want to interrogate him properly. How about next weekend? We can all go out to dinner." "Perfect. I'll prepare my list of questions." Simone laughed. "Please be nice to him." "I'm always nice. But I'm also protective of you, so he needs to know that if he hurts you, he'll answer to me." "He won't hurt me." "How do you know?" Simone thought about it. With Trevor, there had always been a nagging doubt in the back of her mind, a feeling that something wasn't quite right even before she'd found out about Gabrielle. She'd ignored that feeling, convinced herself she was being paranoid or insecure. With Isaiah there was no doubt. Just certainty. "I just know," she said finally. "He's different. He sees me, really sees me. And he likes what he sees." "Then I'm happy for you," Rochelle said. "You deserve someone who sees how amazing you are." That night, after Rochelle left, Simone got a text from an unknown number. "This is Gabrielle. I know you probably don't want to hear from me, but I wanted to apologize. What I did was wrong. I'm sorry for my part in hurting you." Simone stared at the message for a long time. Gabrielle was reaching out, probably prompted by guilt or maybe by advice from a therapist. Part of Simone wanted to respond, to tell Gabrielle exactly how much damage she'd caused. But another part, the part that had grown stronger over the past 6 months, didn't care enough to engage. She deleted the message without responding and blocked the number. Gabrielle's apology didn't matter. Nothing about that situation mattered anymore. Simone had moved on completely. The next weekend, she, Isaiah, and Rochelle went to dinner at a steakhouse downtown. Rochelle did indeed interrogate Isaiah, asking him about his intentions, his past relationships, his career goals. Isaiah handled it with grace and humor, answering every question honestly and making Rochelle laugh multiple times. "Okay, he's approved," Rochelle announced halfway through dinner. "You can keep him." "I'm honored," Isaiah said with a grin. After dinner they walked around downtown looking at the city lights. Isaiah put his arm around Simone's shoulders and she leaned into him, feeling content. This was what happiness felt like. Not the desperate, anxious kind of happiness she'd felt trying to fix her marriage with Trevor. But real, solid, peaceful happiness that came from being with someone who valued her. "I have something to tell you," Isaiah said as they walked. "I've been offered a job at another company. A director position with a significant raise." Simone's heart sank. "You're leaving?" "I haven't decided yet. It's a great opportunity, but it would mean leaving Innovate Solutions. Leaving our team." He looked at her. "Leaving the convenience of working with you. You should take it if it's what you want," Simone said, trying to be supportive even though the thought of not seeing him every day made her chest hurt. "I want to know what you think. Because if I stay, I'm partly staying for you. And I need to know if that's something you want, or if I'm making decisions based on feelings that might not be mutual." They stopped walking. Simone turned to face him. "I love you," she said. The words came out easily, naturally, without fear. "I didn't think I'd be able to say that to anyone again after Trevor. But I love you, Isaiah." "So yes, your feelings are mutual." Isaiah's face broke into a huge smile. "I love you too. I've been wanting to say it for weeks, but I didn't want to pressure you." "You're not pressuring me. You're just being yourself. And I love who you are." He kissed her, right there on the downtown sidewalk with people walking past them. "I'm taking the new job," he said when they broke apart. "It's too good an opportunity to pass up, and if I'm not your coworker anymore, we don't have to worry about workplace complications." "That's very practical thinking." "I'm a practical guy." He smiled. "Plus, I want to be able to kiss you at work events without worrying about HR." Simone laughed, feeling lighter than air. They walked back to her car and Isaiah drove her home. At her apartment door, he kissed her goodnight, a long, sweet kiss that promised more to come. "I'll see you tomorrow," he said. "Tomorrow," she agreed. Inside her apartment, Simone looked around at the home she'd built for herself. The life she'd reconstructed from nothing. The happiness she'd found after losing everything. Trevor had tried to destroy her with his betrayal. Instead, he'd set her free. And now she was exactly where she was meant to be. The courthouse was nothing like Simone had imagined. She'd pictured something dramatic like a scene from a movie with lawyers arguing and a judge banging a gavel. Instead, it was just a small room with fluorescent lights, a judge who looked bored, and a court reporter typing quietly in the corner. Trevor was already there when Simone arrived with Vanessa. He sat on the other side of the room with his lawyer, looking smaller somehow than she remembered. His suit was wrinkled and he'd lost weight. He looked up when she entered, and their eyes met for just a second before Simone looked away. She didn't need to see him anymore. She didn't need anything from him. "This should be quick," Vanessa whispered. "He's already agreed to everything. The judge just needs to finalize it." Quick was an understatement. The whole proceeding took less than 20 minutes. The judge reviewed the settlement agreement, asked both parties if they agreed to the terms, and when both Simone and Trevor said yes, she signed the order. "The marriage between Trevor James Robinson and Simone Nicole Mitchell is hereby dissolved," the judge said. "You're both free to go." Just like that, 7 years of marriage ended with a signature. Simone stood up, her legs unsteady. She'd thought she would feel something dramatic: relief, sadness, anger. Instead, she just felt tired. Tired of this process, tired of thinking about Trevor, tired of this entire chapter of her life. Trevor approached her as she was leaving. Vanessa stepped between them immediately, but Trevor held up his hands. "I just want to talk for 1 minute. Please." Simone nodded to Vanessa, who reluctantly stepped aside but stayed close. "What is it?" Simone asked. "I'm sorry," Trevor said. His voice was quiet, sincere for the first time since this whole mess began. "For everything. For the affair, for the way I handled it, for trying to make you accept something unacceptable. You deserved better." "Yes, I did." "I hope you're happy," Trevor said. "I really do. And I'm sorry it took losing you for me to realize what I had." Simone looked at him, really looked at him, and felt nothing. No anger, no longing, no sadness. Just emptiness where love used to be. "I am happy," she said. "Happier than I ever was with you." It was cruel, maybe. But it was also true. Trevor flinched but nodded. "Goodbye, Simone." "Goodbye, Trevor." She walked out of the courthouse with Vanessa, into the bright afternoon sunshine. Her phone buzzed with a text from Isaiah. "How did it go?" "It's done. Officially divorced." "Want company? I can come over after work." "I'd like that." Simone put her phone away and took a deep breath. The air smelled like rain and possibility. She was free. Completely, totally free. "You okay?" Vanessa asked. "Yeah, I really am." They walked to the parking lot together, Vanessa pulling out papers for Simone to sign, final documents, copies of the divorce decree, information about when she'd receive her portion of the settlement. "The money should be in your account by the end of the week," Vanessa explained. "And his spousal support payments will start next month. You're all set." "Thank you for everything," Simone said. "You fought hard for me. You fought hard for yourself. I just made sure you got what you deserved." Vanessa shook her hand. "Good luck with everything, Simone. I have a feeling you're going to be just fine." Simone drove back to her apartment and sat in the parking lot for a few minutes, staring at her phone. She had an impulse to call someone to tell them the divorce was final. Her mother, maybe, or Rochelle. But then she realized she didn't need to make a big announcement. The divorce was done and now she could just live. Move forward without looking back. She went inside, changed into comfortable clothes, and was making tea when someone knocked on her door. It was Isaiah, holding a bouquet of sunflowers. "I know you said after work, but I couldn't wait," he said. "How are you feeling?" "Honestly, I feel relieved. It's over." Isaiah handed her the flowers and pulled her into a hug. "You did it. You survived all of this and came out stronger." "I had help," Simone said, breathing in his cologne. "You helped. Rochelle helped. Vanessa helped. But you did the work." They sat on her couch, and Simone told him about the hearing, about the brief conversation with Trevor, about how anticlimactic the whole thing had been. "Part of me thought I'd feel triumphant," she admitted. "Like I'd won some big battle. But I just feel done. Like I closed a book I wasn't enjoying anymore." "That makes sense. Divorcing someone isn't about winning. It's about choosing yourself." "When did you get so wise?" Simone teased. "I dated a therapist once. Picked up some things." They spent the evening together, cooking dinner and watching a movie. It was domestic, comfortable, everything Simone had thought she wanted with Trevor but never quite achieved. Later, as they were cleaning up, Isaiah said, "I have something to tell you. You're taking the new job?" "I already took it. I start in 2 weeks." He smiled. "But that's not what I wanted to say." "What is it?" "I love you. And I know we haven't been together that long and maybe this is too fast, but I want you to know that I'm serious about us. I'm not going anywhere." Simone set down the dish she was washing and turned to face him. "I'm serious too. And for the record, it's not too fast. It's exactly the right pace." They kissed, and Simone felt something she hadn't felt in years: certainty. This was right. Isaiah was right. Her new life was right. Over the next week, Simone adjusted to being officially divorced. She updated her name on all her accounts, going back to her maiden name. She transferred money from her settlement into a savings account, setting aside funds for the future. She even started looking at bigger apartments, thinking maybe it was time to upgrade. Work was going well. With Isaiah leaving for his new job, Patricia had promoted Simone again, this time to Director of Marketing. She now oversaw not just her department but worked directly with the CEO on company strategy. "You've earned this," Patricia said when she announced the promotion. "You've brought incredible value to this company in less than a year. I can't wait to see what you do next." Simone's team threw her a small celebration, complete with cake and congratulations cards. She felt proud of how far she'd come in such a short time. That weekend, Rochelle helped Simone look at apartments. They found a beautiful 2-bedroom place with a balcony and a view of the park. It was more expensive than her current place, but with her new salary and the settlement money, she could afford it comfortably. "This is the one," Rochelle said, standing on the balcony. "I can already picture you drinking coffee out here in the mornings." "It's perfect," Simone agreed. She signed the lease that day. Moving day came 2 weeks later. Isaiah took the day off from his new job to help, along with Rochelle and a few co-workers. They hauled boxes and furniture up to the new apartment, laughing and joking the whole time. By evening, Simone was exhausted but happy. Her new home was filled with boxes, but it was hers. Completely, totally hers. Everyone left eventually, until it was just Isaiah helping her unpack the kitchen. "I could get used to this," he said, putting dishes in the cabinets. "Used to what?" "Being here with you. Helping you build a life." Simone looked at him, this man who had appeared in her life at exactly the right moment. Who had been patient when she needed patience, supportive when she needed support, and loving when she was ready for love. "I could get used to it too," she said. That night, after Isaiah left, Simone stood on her new balcony looking out at the city lights. Somewhere out there, Trevor was living his own life, probably with his new girlfriend. Gabrielle was dealing with the aftermath of her choices. Nathan was moving on. And Simone was here in her new apartment with her new job, her new relationship, and her new life. She'd started this journey thinking she'd lost everything. But really, she'd just lost the things that were holding her back. Her phone buzzed with a message from her mother. "So proud of you, baby girl. You've always been stronger than you knew." Simone smiled and typed back, "I'm learning that. Love you, Mom." She stayed on the balcony for a while longer, just breathing in the night air and feeling grateful. Grateful for Rochelle's friendship, for Isaiah's love, for Vanessa's advocacy, for her own strength. Most of all, grateful that she'd had the courage to walk away when Trevor gave her that ultimatum. Because if she'd stayed, she never would have found herself again. And finding herself had been worth everything. 9 months after leaving Trevor, Simone barely recognized the woman she used to be. She looked at old photos sometimes, pictures from her marriage, and saw someone who smiled with her mouth but not her eyes. Someone who'd made herself smaller to fit into Trevor's life. That woman was gone now. The new apartment had become a true home. She'd furnished it exactly how she wanted: colorful throw pillows, plants on every surface, art that made her happy rather than art that matched the decor. Her new bedroom had a reading nook by the window where she spent Sunday mornings with coffee and books. Work was thriving. As director of marketing, Simone had built a team that functioned like a well-oiled machine. They'd landed 4 major clients in the past quarter, and Patricia had started seriously discussing partnership opportunities. "You've transformed this department," Patricia said during their weekly meeting. "I want you to think about what the future looks like for you here. Because I see you as part of the leadership team long-term." "I'd like that," Simone said. "I love what I'm doing." "Good. We'll talk specifics at the end of the quarter." Isaiah's new job was going well too. He'd been promoted quickly, now overseeing creative for multiple departments at his company. They saw each other most evenings and spent weekends together, but they kept their own spaces, both agreeing they weren't ready to live together yet. I like having my own place, Simone told Rochelle over brunch one Saturday. After years of sharing everything with Trevor, having my own space feels important. No rush, Rochelle said. You're doing things at your own pace and that's perfect. They were at their favorite brunch spot, a small cafe that served amazing French toast. Rochelle had been Simone's rock through everything: the divorce, the job search, the move. She deserved more credit than Simone could ever give her. I don't think I ever properly thanked you, Simone said suddenly. For letting me stay with you, for being there during the worst of it. I couldn't have done this without you. Yes, you could have, Rochelle said firmly. You're stronger than you think. I just gave you a couch to sleep on. You gave me more than that. You gave me a safe place when I had nowhere else to go. That's what best friends do. Rochelle squeezed her hand. Besides, you would have done the same for me. In a heartbeat. After brunch, Simone drove to the park for her weekly run. Exercise had become part of her healing process. Every mile she ran felt like leaving the old Simone further behind. She was stretching after her run when she saw him. Trevor. He was across the park, walking with a woman Simone didn't recognize. The new girlfriend, probably. They were holding hands, laughing about something. Simone waited for the rush of emotion: anger, jealousy, sadness. But nothing came. She felt nothing looking at Trevor. He was just a stranger now, someone she used to know. She finished her stretch and headed home, not looking back. That evening, Isaiah came over with Chinese food and a surprise. Close your eyes, he said. Why? Just do it. Simone closed her eyes. She heard rustling, felt Isaiah take her hand and place something small in her palm. Okay, open. Was a key. Is this? The key to my apartment, Isaiah said. I'm not asking you to move in. I just want you to have it. So you can come over whenever you want, even if I'm not there. Because I trust you completely. Simone looked at the key, then at Isaiah. This was a big step, a statement of commitment and trust. After Trevor, she'd been so scared of trusting again. But Isaiah had proven himself over and over. Thank you, she said. I'll make you a key to my place too. Only if you're ready. I'm ready. They ate dinner on her balcony, watching the sunset paint the sky orange and pink. These were the moments Simone treasured: simple, peaceful, full of quiet joy. My mom wants to meet you, Isaiah said casually. Simone nearly choked on her noodles. She does. Yeah. I talk about you a lot, apparently. She says any woman who can make me this happy deserves to be met properly. He smiled. No pressure, but she's having a family dinner next weekend if you want to come. Meeting the parents. That was serious. That was a lot. But Simone found herself wanting to say yes. I'd like that, she said. I'm nervous, but I'd like to meet her. She'll love you. I promise. The family dinner the following weekend was at Isaiah's parents' house in the suburbs. His mother, different Patricia from work, was a warm, energetic woman who hugged Simone the moment she walked in the door. It's so nice to finally meet you, she exclaimed. Isaiah hasn't stopped talking about you since you started dating. Mom, Isaiah said, embarrassed. What? It's true. His mother linked arms with Simone and walked her into the house. Come on, let me introduce you to everyone. There were aunts, uncles, cousins, Isaiah's younger sister. The house was loud and warm and full of laughter. It reminded Simone of holidays at her own mother's house before she'd gotten married. Trevor's family had been cold, formal. Dinners were quiet affairs where everyone minded their manners and discussed appropriate topics. This was different: chaotic, loving, real. Isaiah's father pulled him aside at one point, and Simone saw them talking seriously. When they came back, Isaiah's father approached her. My son tells me you're going through a divorce, he said. I am. It was finalized a few months ago. That takes courage. Walking away from something that isn't working, even when it's hard. He patted her shoulder. Isaiah's mom and I like you. You're good for him. The approval meant more than Simone expected. She'd been so focused on rebuilding her own life that she hadn't thought much about building a life with someone else's family. But seeing how Isaiah's family welcomed her, it felt right. On the drive home, Isaiah held her hand. That wasn't too overwhelming, was it? It was perfect, Simone said honestly. Your family is wonderful. They loved you. My mom has already started planning what she's going to cook next time you come over. Next time? If you want there to be a next time. I do. They drove in comfortable silence for a while, and Simone found herself thinking about the future. For so long, her future had been wrapped up in Trevor, their marriage, the children they'd never had, the life they'd planned. When that fell apart, she'd stopped thinking about the future at all, focusing only on surviving day by day. But now she could see a future again. Not perfectly clear, but possible. A future where she was successful in her career, surrounded by people who loved her, maybe even with Isaiah by her side permanently. It was scary and exciting all at once. The next day at work, Simone got an unexpected email. It was from Gabrielle. "I know you blocked my number, so I'm trying email instead. I don't expect you to respond, but I wanted you to know I'm truly sorry for my part in what happened. Nathan and I are divorced now. I moved to another city and started over. I'm in therapy working through why I made the choices I made. I destroyed 2 marriages and hurt people I'll never be able to apologize to properly. I just wanted you to know that your strength in walking away inspired me to face my own mistakes. I hope you're happy. You deserve happiness. Gabrielle." Simone read the email 3 times. Part of her wanted to respond, to tell Gabrielle that her apology was too little too late. But another part recognized that Gabrielle was trying to heal too in her own way. Simone didn't respond. Instead, she archived the email and moved on with her day. Gabrielle's apology didn't change anything. Simone had already forgiven, not for Gabrielle's sake, but for her own. She'd let go of the anger months ago because carrying it was exhausting. That evening, Simone went to her therapy appointment. She'd been seeing Dr. Kennedy for 6 months, working through the trauma of betrayal and the process of rebuilding her life. "How are you feeling?" Dr. Kennedy asked. "Good. Really good, actually." Simone settled into the familiar chair. "I saw Trevor at the park last week with his new girlfriend. I felt nothing." "Nothing?" "Complete indifference. Like seeing an old classmate I barely remember." "That's growth." Dr. Kennedy made a note. "When we started these sessions, seeing him caused panic attacks." "I know. It's strange how much has changed." "It's not strange. It's healing." Dr. Kennedy looked up. "You've done the work, Simone. You faced the trauma, rebuilt your life, and learned to trust again. That's not easy." "I had help." "Yes, but you did the hard parts yourself." They spent the rest of the session talking about Isaiah, about Simone's future goals, about what came next. For the first time, Simone could talk about the future without anxiety. Walking out of Dr. Kennedy's office, Simone felt lighter. She'd come so far from the woman who'd sat at that dining table, listening to Trevor give her an ultimatum. That woman had been scared, dependent, lost. This woman was strong, independent, found. Isaiah surprised her that weekend with tickets to an art gallery opening, the same gallery where they'd had one of their first dates. "I thought we could make this a tradition," he said. "Coming here, seeing new art, talking about life." "I love that idea." They walked through the new exhibit, holding hands, discussing the pieces. Simone felt content in a way she never had with Trevor. There was no pressure to be someone she wasn't, no need to shrink herself to fit into Isaiah's life. They just existed together, comfortably, happily. "I need to tell you something," Isaiah said as they stood in front of a painting of a woman standing at the edge of the ocean. "Okay. I'm falling more in love with you every day. And I know we've only been together for 6 months, but I can see a future with you. A real future. I want you to know that." Simone looked at him, this man who'd walked into her life at exactly the right moment. Who'd been patient while she healed, supportive while she rebuilt, loving when she was ready for love. "I can see a future with you too," she said. "And that terrifies me because I thought I'd never trust anyone enough to plan a future with them again." "But you do trust me?" "I do. Completely." They kissed in the art gallery, surrounded by strangers and beautiful paintings, and Simone felt something click into place. This was what love was supposed to feel like: safe, exciting, peaceful, and passionate all at once. Not the desperate clinging she'd felt with Trevor, but something solid and real. That night, lying in bed in her apartment, Simone thought about how far she'd come. From that awful night when Trevor gave her an ultimatum, through the pain of leaving, the struggle of rebuilding, to this moment of peace and possibility. She'd survived. More than survived, she'd thrived. And the best part? She'd done it on her own terms, in her own time, becoming the person she'd always been meant to be. Trevor's betrayal had broken her temporarily. But in the rebuilding, she'd become stronger than she ever was before. 1 year after Trevor's ultimatum, Simone stood in front of her bathroom mirror getting ready for dinner. Her first official date with Isaiah a year ago, almost to the day, had been celebrating her promotion. Tonight was different. Tonight was about celebrating her. She'd come full circle, but she wasn't the same person she'd been a year ago. That Simone had been scared, lost, trying to hold together a marriage that was already dead. This Simone was confident, successful, loved. Her phone buzzed on the counter. A text from Trevor. She hadn't heard from him in months. She almost didn't open it. But curiosity won. I know I have no right to reach out, but I wanted you to know I made a mistake. The biggest mistake of my life. I lost everything that mattered. I hope you can forgive me someday. Simone stared at the message for a moment, then deleted it without responding. Trevor wanted forgiveness, but that wasn't hers to give anymore. She'd let go of him months ago. His guilt was his to carry, not hers. Another text came through, this one from Isaiah. I'm downstairs. Take your time, no rush. Simone smiled and grabbed her purse. She locked her apartment door and walked down to meet him. Isaiah was waiting by his car, looking handsome in dark jeans and a button-down shirt. His face lit up when he saw her. You look beautiful, he said, kissing her cheek. You clean up pretty well yourself. They drove to a restaurant neither had been to before, trying something new together. That had become their thing, always trying new experiences, never getting stuck in routine. Over dinner, Isaiah said, I've been thinking about something. Should I be worried? No, he laughed. I've been thinking about us. About the future. Simone's heart skipped. Yeah. My lease is up in 2 months. And I know we said we wanted our own spaces, but I'm ready for more if you are. No pressure, I just wanted you to know where my head is. Moving in together. That was a big step. A year ago, Simone would have been terrified. But now, with Isaiah, it felt right. I'm ready too, she said. But maybe we look for a new place together? Something that's ours from the start, not yours or mine. I love that idea. They spent the rest of dinner talking about what they wanted in a home, what neighborhood to look in, how to combine their stuff. It was exciting and domestic and everything Simone had once thought she'd never have again. After dinner, they walked around downtown, eventually ending up at a small park with a fountain. They sat on a bench and Isaiah pulled Simone close. A year ago you walked into my office for an interview, he said. And I remember thinking you seemed sad but determined. Like you were fighting to get back to yourself. I was. Look at you now. Director of marketing, living in your dream apartment, happy. He turned to face her. I'm so proud of you, Simone. Not just for what you've accomplished professionally, but for how you've healed and grown. I couldn't have done it without you. Yes, you could have. I just got to be here while you did it. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the fountain. Simone thought about everything that had led her to this moment: Trevor's betrayal, the ultimatum, her decision to leave, the hard months of rebuilding. All of it had brought her here, to this bench, with this man, feeling more herself than she'd ever felt. Her phone buzzed again. This time it was Rochelle. Wine night tomorrow? I have gossip. Simone smiled and texted back. Absolutely. My place, 7 p.m. Who's that? Isaiah asked. Rochelle. Wine night tomorrow. Tell her I said hi. And that I'll make myself scarce so you two can have your gossip time. You're invited if you want to come. Nah, you two need your friend time. Besides, I have a basketball game with my cousins tomorrow night anyway. This was what a healthy relationship looked like, Simone realized. They had their own friends, their own activities, their own lives. But they chose to combine those lives because they wanted to, not because they needed to. They left the park and Isaiah drove her home. At her apartment door they kissed goodnight. I love you, Isaiah said. I love you too. Inside, Simone changed into pajamas and made tea. She sat on her balcony, looking out at the city lights and thinking about the past year. She'd lost a husband but gained herself. She'd left a home but built a better one. She'd ended a marriage but found real love. The next evening, Rochelle came over with 2 bottles of wine and a charcuterie board from the fancy grocery store. Okay, spill, Rochelle said, pouring them both generous glasses. What's this I hear about you and Isaiah moving in together? How did you? He told my boyfriend who told me. You know how it goes. We're looking for a place together. His lease is up soon and we're both ready. That's amazing. Rochelle clinked her glass against Simone's. Look at you moving on and moving up. They spent the evening laughing and talking, going through old photos on Simone's phone. They found pictures from Simone's wedding and instead of feeling sad, Simone just felt nothing. Like looking at photos of someone else's life. Remember when you first came to my apartment? Rochelle said. You were so broken. I'd never seen you like that. I remember. I thought my life was over. And now look at you. New job, new relationship, new life. You did that. You rebuilt yourself from scratch. With your help. I was just the support system. You did the actual work. They finished both bottles of wine, and Rochelle slept on Simone's couch. In the morning they made breakfast together, nursing their hangovers with coffee and aspirin. "I need to tell you something," Rochelle said as she was leaving. "I'm really proud of you. Not just for leaving Trevor but for not going back. A lot of women would have given in when he started apologizing and begging. I almost did. In the early days when I was scared and alone, I almost called him. But then I remembered why I left. And I remembered that I deserved better." "Yes, you did. You do." The following week, Simone and Isaiah started apartment hunting. They looked at a dozen places before finding the perfect 1-2 bedroom in a neighborhood they both loved, with a balcony bigger than Simone's current one and a kitchen that Isaiah could actually cook in. They signed the lease together, both their names on the document. It felt official, permanent, real. Moving day was chaotic and exhausting. Friends helped them combine their belongings, figuring out which furniture to keep and which to donate. By the end of the day they were surrounded by boxes, but it was their space. Theirs together. That night, after everyone left, they ordered pizza and sat on the floor of their empty living room, eating straight from the box. "This is nice," Isaiah said. "Being here with you." "It is," Simone agreed. "It feels right. I know we're not married and we're not engaged, but I want you to know I'm committed to this. To us. For the long haul." "Me too." They fell asleep that night on an air mattress surrounded by boxes, and Simone felt more at home than she ever had in the house she'd shared with Trevor. Work continued to go well. Patricia officially offered Simone a partnership position in the company, making her one of the youngest partners in the firm's history. Simone accepted immediately. "You've earned this," Patricia said. "You've transformed this company in less than 2 years. I can't wait to see what you do next." What Simone did next was hire 3 new team members, launch a major campaign for their biggest client, and mentor Destiny, the intern who'd become a full-time employee. Isaiah's career was thriving too. He'd been promoted again at his company and was now heading an entire creative department. They were both successful, both fulfilled, both happy. One evening, about 3 months after moving in together, Simone got an unexpected visitor at work. Trevor's mother. The receptionist buzzed her office. "Simone, there's a Helen Robinson here to see you. She doesn't have an appointment." Simone's stomach dropped. Trevor's mother. What could she possibly want? "Send her in." Helen Robinson walked into Simone's office looking older than Simone remembered. Her hair was grayer, her face more lined. She sat down in the chair across from Simone's desk and folded her hands in her lap. "Thank you for seeing me," Helen said. "What can I do for you?" "I wanted to apologize. Trevor told us everything what really happened, not the version he told us at first. I'm sorry we doubted you. I'm sorry we called you and harassed you during the divorce." Simone was quiet for a moment. "Thank you for saying that. Trevor's not doing well. The affair ruined his reputation at work. He and his new girlfriend broke up. He's alone and he's finally realizing what he lost." "I'm sorry to hear that," Simone said, and she meant it. Not because she wanted to help Trevor, but because she genuinely didn't wish suffering on anyone. "But I've moved on. I'm happy. I'm with someone who treats me with respect." "I can see that. You look different, stronger, more confident." Helen stood up. "I just wanted you to know that I'm sorry. And that I always thought you were good for my son. He just didn't appreciate what he had." After Helen left, Simone sat at her desk for a few minutes, processing. Trevor's own mother had come to apologize. That was closure she hadn't expected to get. She texted Isaiah, "Random visit at work today. Tell you about it tonight." That evening she told Isaiah about Helen's visit. "How did it make you feel?" he asked. "Honestly? Relieved. It was the closure I didn't know I needed." She apologized, she acknowledged that Trevor messed up, and then she left. It was respectful and final. "Good. You deserved that acknowledgement." 6 months after moving in together, Isaiah and Simone hosted their first dinner party. Rochelle and her boyfriend came, along with several co-workers and Isaiah's family. Their apartment was full of laughter and good food and love. Simone stood in the kitchen watching Isaiah tell a story that had everyone cracking up, and felt overwhelming gratitude. This was her life now. This happiness, this peace, this love. A year and a half after Trevor's ultimatum, Simone barely thought about him anymore. He'd become a footnote in her story, not the main character. She'd heard through mutual acquaintances that he'd moved to another city, started over somewhere new. She hoped he'd learn from his mistakes. But mostly she didn't think about him at all. She was too busy living her own life, the life she'd built from nothing, the life she loved, the life she deserved. On the anniversary of her divorce being finalized, Simone took herself out for a celebratory dinner. Just her, a nice restaurant and a good book. Isaiah had offered to come, but she'd wanted to do this alone. It felt important to mark the occasion by herself, to acknowledge how far she'd come. She sat at a table by the window, ordered her favorite meal, and toasted herself with a glass of wine. To surviving, she whispered. To thriving. To becoming the person I was always meant to be. Her phone buzzed with a message from Isaiah. Proud of you. Come home when you're ready. I'll be waiting. Simone smiled, finished her dinner, and drove home to the man she loved, to the apartment they shared, to the life they were building together. She'd started this journey thinking Trevor's ultimatum had destroyed her. Instead, it had freed her. And she was grateful for it.